everyone, welcome back to Chiara's Little Travel Adventure. Have you ever dreamed of immersing yourself in a new culture, traveling and living abroad, all while making a real difference? Well, in today's video, I'm sharing everything you need to know on how to be an au pair in China or anywhere else, really. This video is especially for all my millennials and Gen Z friends that are looking to travel on a low budget, long term, without breaking the bank, and also without the nomad work or changing completely your lifestyle. Au pairing is a great way to travel long term while saving on the budget and without completely giving up your entire life, basically. From picking the right agency, visa navigating, insurance, finding the perfect host family. Stick around, you don't want to miss my checklist to make your experience as smooth and beautiful as possible. The first step to become an au pair is finding the right agency. And when I mean right, I mean not perfect. A perfect agency doesn't exist, and to be honest, it all ends up on your own experience and on your own needs. Truly, a good agency can make or completely break your experience abroad. So I strongly suggest you do your research, dive deep into all the reviews, all the comments, and find the one that matches your needs the best. Some agencies specialize in specific countries or groups, and do remember that to be an au pair, you need to be under 30 years old, usually. Otherwise, it becomes a nanny job, and that's a topic for another video. Finding the right agency for you is going to be a process. There is a website that includes all the certified agencies in the world. I'll link it in the description down below so you can have a look. And that's a good point where you can start your research. When you're looking for an agency, you want to look at the fees. Every agency has different fees for you to come over and what they offer. Do they offer insurance? Do they offer a ticket way to go, that roundabout trip, only the way back? What do they offer? And also, how much are you going to get as pocket money every month? How many hours do you need to work? All of these things are very important when choosing the perfect au pair agency for you. Also, of course, personal contact is one of the main things that you should look out for. So if you contact somebody and that doesn't quite feel right, maybe it's not the right place for you, and I suggest you move on to something else. When it comes to agency, looking for reviews and how many years of experience the agency has makes a big difference. I personally traveled with Lopair the last time I was in China this last summer, and it made my experience so much easier and smoother. An agency will help you in the process to find and look for the right visa and the entire visa process. They will help you with all the bureaucracy, all the paperwork you will need, and they of course will help you to find the perfect host family. I was pretty lucky to travel with Lopair. I did look them up and they had great reviews and comments. During my stay there, I had great support from Lopair. Of course, if you find yourself in any trouble or any difficulty, your first contact would be the agency. So it's really important to find one that is trustworthy and then can really back you up in times of needs. I did have a couple of unlucky situations, like I had my phone stolen and the agency helped me in the process of contacting my host family, booking a ride for me to go back and help me in the process of solving these small issues. But also when it comes to visa, the process of extending it if you need it or just for asking it and all the paperwork, they will cover it for you. So an agency I think is really useful, especially in certain countries. Yes, you can find a host family without an agency, but it's going to be a little bit more unclear sometimes what they offer and what they don't offer. The pay might be higher, but you will have maybe to cover more expenses. For example, you will have to pay your own insurance, your own tickets, and you won't be offered, for example, the opportunity to study Chinese, which I had a great time and it was a great experience. Everything went on so smoothly. They helped me in the process of finding the perfect host family. They helped me with the visa process, prepared all the paperwork I needed for that. And also while I was there, they offered events that we could attend every month. There were also Chinese classes included. I had insurance. I had my ticket for coming back to Italy paid in the end. Lopair was probably the best agency I worked with so far. If you want to check them out, I have a special referral promo in the description box below just for you. That's just a nice bonus to kickstart your adventure in China. It will give you $50 off your au pair agency fee, and that's just a great bonus to kickstart your adventure in China. You can do a lot with $50 there. And a bonus tip here is make sure you read thoroughly your contract, especially when it comes to labor law in other countries like China, for example. Each country has their own laws, so make sure you've read it through and you know exactly what are your duties and responsibilities and your rights, of course. And remember, a good agency should never leave you hanging. So if you don't receive any answers for them, you feel like they're not being clear with you, I suggest you choose another one. Next up, the wonderful world of visas. Visas can be very daunting, I know, but stick with me because it's really important to get the right one, and an agency will help you in the process to make it so much more smooth. Visas can vary a lot depending on your destination, and with that your agency will be the one that will help you the most. And of course, as I always say, it depends a lot on the agreements between your own country and the country you want to visit. For China, you will typically have a student visa or a working visa or a tourist visa. But make sure that you check on the embassy website to understand clearly what you can do and how long you can stay, if you can extend it once you're there, and what are the conditions to do so. And here is a pro tip. When it comes to visa, work with your agency or your host families. They will be your best allies to understand the entire process and to make everything so much smoother. Also, let me know if you'd like to have a video specifically about visas, and I'll make sure to cover that in future videos. Travel insurance is not just a nice have, it's a must have. You really want to prioritize insurance that covers health, travel disruptions, and even emergency evacuation. No one wants to think about the worst, but you really want to be covered in case of an emergency. And when it comes to insurance, I've actually done a thorough breakdown on how to choose the best insurance and the process to find the right one. I will link it over here. Choosing the perfect host family. Finding a family is one of the most exciting things, but it can also be quite stressful. Here, I strongly suggest you look for a real and true connection. Chat with them, see what they like, if their lifestyle kind of matches what you're looking for. Say that you're very introverted and you like to stay a lot home. Maybe though they are outdoor people, they like adventures and spending a lot of time outdoors. So if their lifestyle doesn't quite match yours, I suggest you move on to another family. When chatting with potential families, ask about expectations, about household rules, and mutual respect. Especially, I suggest that you ask clearly what are going to be your duties, your working hours, your break time. All those informations are very important because once you're there, you could say you are in a more difficult position. But while you're still here, you want to make everything as clear as possible. So if they tell you they will need you 6 days out of 7 for 4 hours per day, make sure that they make it clear from the very beginning. Watch out for red flags like unclear responsibilities, unclear working hours, and strong communication barriers. If you can't clearly and properly communicate with the family right from the beginning, I'm telling you that's going to make your life there way more difficult and not a pleasant one. Also remember that it's okay to say no. If you're not okay with something, move on to another family to find a better match rather than making your experience there just an awful one. This is your experience as well, and you deserve to have a great one while you're there. If you're nervous about cultural differences and communicating with the host family, I've got a video right here where I deal with talking and communicating with host parents. It's got tips about communication and how to set healthy boundaries with your host family. For China specifically, and for anywhere really, consider these extra tips. Remember to download useful apps that you will need while you're there before you leave your own country. I've got an old video about the must-have apps and tips that you need before leaving for China over here. Prepare yourself for cultural shock. It's rewarding, but it's real. So make sure that you understand before leaving that you're going to encounter some interesting situations sometimes. Ask about China's holidays and travel opportunities, both to the agency and to the host family. I was lucky enough because Lopair helped me find a host family that loved traveling. So I had the opportunity in just 2 months to visit places in China that otherwise I wouldn't have been even able to consider or think about. And if you're wondering how it feels like living in China, I've got a video over here about my first week living there, all the cultural barriers and all the exciting things and shocking things that I met in my first week living in China. Finally, here's my ultimate checklist before you fly out. Passport, visa, and ID copies secured. Check your host family details and contract thoroughly. The same goes with the agency. Do not sign anything before you have read it thoroughly. And some language basics are always a great idea, and of course translating apps. I suggest you learn some key phrases just for survival in the beginning. There's also a few apps that you can use to learn a little bit of the language, like Duolingo. Lastly, cultural research. Make sure that you know the etiquette of the country you're visiting. Remember that you're a guest, so make sure that you know how to adjust yourself a little bit before moving to the country. And for more tips on how to pack and how to prep yourself, I've got a video on packing for long terms. I promise it's a lifesaver for a long stay abroad. Alright friends, that was your au pair guide for traveling to China or anywhere you dream to explore. Let me know in the comments down below if you ever considered au pairing, or if you have any other question about living abroad. Hit the like button if you found this helpful, subscribe for more solo travel content, and share it with other people that love exploring the globe. Until next time, safe travels. I'll see you in our next adventure. Bye!